Hey, welcome back. That was Shadows from the Kilimanjaro Dark Jazz Ensemble. Just chill stuff. I like it. And let's see. You vote to stop the pain. I can't believe it. I am surprised. I am so surprised. Okay, what's going on here? Want to run to show certain parts. To select an option to vote. Let's see this one out. What other use I have for points? Okay. My short-term memory exceeds me. Let's go here. Okay. I told you before, but if not, it was definitely my meds because I feel amazing now. Like amazing, nice. Never knew that other people felt this good all the time. That is really like that. That is really a feeling. I can like relate so much to actually to that. All right, so we'll go for Spelunky, but first, give me a second. I don't know if I should show this or maybe I guess I should show this on our internal stream actually, so we actually get more Eternal fans. It's kind of long actually. I guess I can do a teaser. We can do kind of a teaser. It's nothing great, but I mean it's nothing crazy. Ooh, talking about Eternal. But I found this the other day. Hang on. Wish I could capture this faster. Yeah, dogs. But basically, there's this promotional DVD of Nintendo GameCube that has a lot of stuff. This started because of a Reddit post. Like someone encountered like a box of a lot of promotional DVDs from GameCube. So the thing is, so this is like the only thing I found online. I actually asked the person to make a video or something if they want to preserve it for preservation purposes. But I found this. Apparently it's in French though. So promotional DVD 22. And it has Mario Party. There's a lot of stuff here. But it seems to be some Eternal, so yeah, a lot of people are excited. Okay, I guess we can watch some of these. We can watch it 2 times, or I can just post it again on the Eternal Discord. Does anyone understand what this says? I feel like Amber might understand what this says. Vos etes dos homes ad fems. That's like hombres y mujeres, like males and females, guys and girls. Vos combates por avenir de la raza humani. That's the human race. Combat something. Vos adversaries, your adversaries, the ancients. Those do terrible from millennia. The premiere of the horror of Nintendo. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah. I have no idea, yeah. That's French though. Okay, you don't understand that. Okay. Terrible gods and millionaires. No, that's millennia, I think. The horrible prime minister of Nintendo, yeah. yeah, that's basically okay. And it's an interview. So I have no idea what this is. I mean, I know it's an interview. Might be a little bit loud, but maybe later it's gonna be fine. I got it basically right? Nice. Decade-old French is failing me. Play as men and women. Fight for the fate of human race. Fighting ancient evil stuff. Big horror game for Nintendo. Yeah. That's better than my interpretation. But this is a game that feels like Eternal. I don't know. Amnesia, maybe? Or a Nintendo game. I mean, it depends what you mean by a Nintendo game. Because this was made by Silicon Knights. Okay, so that's just the intro of the game. We've seen that before. Nothing too crazy about that.
Hello everyone, my name is Dennis Dyack and I'm a director
look at
of a
this.
project called Eternal Darkness coming out for the Nintendo GameCube. Eternal Darkness is a psychological thriller. It's the type of game that people may quickly look at and think it's a survival horror. It's the opposite of that. We've based it on what I would consider classical horror stories, not your typical B horror stories.
I agree with that so much. Like, he has said this on other scenarios, but I really feel like that is so true, that Eternal is not really a survival horror, as it is more of just a horror game.
No viruses, no undead running around. We've got an ancient evil trying to come into the world and try to influence humanity over 2,000 years.
That's a CRT. It might be my... You know what? This CRT might be like my same CRT. It's like pretty close to my CRT. I don't know if it is a Trinitron, but...
periods and modeled them painstakingly with research data, with weapon data, and just trying to make it as realistic and portray the period as
so very few characters survive.
In France during the time of the Inquisition. We go all throughout Europe, we go out to parts of Asia, we're in parts of North America in the 1700s. So we've done all that, and then what we've done is put this fantastical spin on it is, what if there is these creatures trying to come back into our world and influencing mankind? So from that perspective on the story, it's very, very different. From a gameplay perspective, we encourage the players to explore the environment. We have a complicated, a detailed magical system where players can actually summon creatures and cast magic and do a lot of things to explore the environment. We have a system where the players can go insane as they play, and during that system, players will hallucinate, things will happen that they're not sure is real or not, and we've found through focus testing that they really enjoy going insane, and they're kind of questioning the game after a while, which is very interesting. We also have a fairly stable base for combat that we've been working out for a long time, and trying to get the gameplay as best as possible. So with all these things combined, you'll find with the Eternal Darkness, you're not really running from the enemies, you're trying to figure out how to get through the level and how best to take advantage of the situation and get through and explore the environments. Whereas typical survival horrors, you're out of ammo and you're running through the level just trying to survive. That's not what we're doing here. We're trying to tell a story, and we're really trying to merge the elements of music, art, technology, storyline, and gameplay all into one cohesive whole, where the sum of the where the whole itself is greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah, Hennifin did a great job with that. Yeah, we got the sub goal thanks to most likely Giftger. I mean, an anonymous gifter. Yeah. What are you doing back here, man? Yeah, so I pretty much agree with all this. Like, I think this is what sold me Eternal back then. The fact that it's not you running around trying to survive all the time, but instead it's just fun combat and sanity effects and magic, you know, and cool characters. Because that was kind of what called me on the old Resident Evil, just running out of bullets, running out of saves, and not knowing what to do, surviving too much.
So that's how I think. That's what I think Eternal Darkness is, and that's how I think it stands out as a game, and how it's definitely not anything else
Yeah.
but a psychological thriller. Another system which is very interesting is the sanity system. And with the sanity system, this is really a chance for us to sort of experiment, and depending on the level of sanity for the player, he'll start to hallucinate, or not necessarily hallucinate, just start to do things that he wouldn't rationally do. And there we found through a lot of focus testing that a lot of people started questioning the game, started realizing that, hey, is this really happening or not? And it was very interesting and very fun. We found some people actually wanted to go insane. And to counter that sanity part, we've introduced a very detailed magical system that we hope counters the hallucinations in the sanity. And with this magic system, we actually have ruins that the player can collect throughout the game, and they're structured very much, or the magic system is built very much like a language system. So by putting together these different runes and different combinations, the player can actually cast different magical spells. And through exploration, they'll be able to summon creatures, run around as different monsters. They'll be able to enchant their weapons, create shields, block off an area with a damage barrier. They'll be able to do and explore the area, do magical attacks, and wipe out all the monsters or creatures in the room if they have enough magic. So really, we're trying to really emphasize how much can the players explore and have fun with this game, because that's what we want them to do. We want them to look around and have fun and just enjoy it. We don't want them running through the level worrying about, I can't kill this monster. We want them to sort of take advantage of the system and say go. And then with all the other systems, with the combat system, with the sanity system, the player can sort of balance
Thank you
out
for
what's the game to go. And also, when you play one of the different alignments, you're going to find that these things balance out very differently. So one game you might find that, oh, these monsters are really, really difficult to fight. Another one is just like, wow, I never have any sanity. I got to get my sanity back. Got to do anything I can to get my sanity back. So those are the kind of things that we sort of emphasize throughout the game. The Nintendo GameCube, from a technology.
All right, hang on. Nintendo Promotional DVD 2002. There's also not a lot of information about this. Like, I don't know if it has doesn't seem to have entries like other stuff do. Like, for example, the demo disc of Kiosk. It's kind of sad because I don't know exactly when this came out, and why I'm asking this. This is actually important because Dennis here is talking about the balance between magic and sanity, and even though in the final game you still see that, you don't see it as the initial idea that Dennis supposedly have, which was using Ouya of Recovery, the magic recovery, to transfer magic to sanity. So basically, you are giving up magic to recover sanity. There was no, or was it health? I don't remember which one was, but there basically was like a very complicated, let's say, balance between all three stats. But they ended up discarding that because it was too complicated. And so then you just recover. Oh no, you recover magic. The initial idea is you recover magic by sacrificing sanity, I think. You don't recover magic by just walking around. That was the idea. So they wanted the player to balance those things. But apparently it ended up being too complicated. Because, yeah, I mean, you can run out of sanity eventually, and then there's no more enemies, because enemies are limited. So it would mean changing the game with, like, unlimited enemies on some spots or something like that. But then there's farming, and then it's like, you know, like Super Metroid, you have to farm your stuff, and instead of playing the
really
game.
a dream come true. It's very easy to develop for, and the technology is very, very good. You'll find that other first parties may talk about technology, but however, the Nintendo family in general, we tend not to focus on that much, simply because we're more interested in the gameplay and the game being fun. So regardless of the technology, which I think is great for the GameCube, what's really more important is what can we get out of this to make it fun for the players. So currently, as an example for technology, we're pushing a lot of polygons. We're maintaining 60 frames per second, completely real-time environment. We have volumetric rolling fog. We have, I think, up to 16 different texture layers running at once. Bump mapping, mip mapping,
16?
reflections.
Hang on.
environment. We have volumetric rolling fog. We have, I think, up to
The volumetric fog, nice.
16 different texture layers running at once.
Oh, that's actually very accurate. Sir actually measured that. I think on when you have like 15 zombies, the game starts to suffer. So 16 seems accurate because when Sir had those 15 monsters, there was also more stuff already probably running. So it was probably already close to the 16 or maybe even above that. So that's very accurate actually. He's saying the truth.
Bump mapping, mip mapping, reflections. We have it all we need, but really all that is all secondary to making a great game. So we tend not to talk about it too much, and what we'd rather say is if the other first parties are going to talk about their hardware, we're going to concentrate on the wetware, and we're going to use our heads to really concentrate and explore what's going to make it best, to make it the best game and the most fun game possible for the player.
What did he say?
But really,
hardware, like
all that is all secondary to making a great game. So we tend not to talk about it too much, and what we'd rather say is if the other first parties are going to talk about their hardware, we're going to concentrate on the wetware, and we're going to
the webware. What is that word? I like it. Mid mapping was a buzzword. Brain, wetware. Like the the wet, because it's wet up here. It's like I had no idea that was a thing. I like it. Look at that. All right.
to use our heads to really concentrate and explore what's going to make it best, to make
Central
it the best
processing
game and the
meat.
most fun game
Exactly.
possible for players. Eternal Darkness clearly, I think, is a first indicator, or not a first, but another continued indicator that Nintendo is not focusing on a younger market. We're focusing on games for everyone, and really, Nintendo is really pushing towards creating new and original content. And Eternal Darkness is mature because of the content itself, not because it's overly violent. We strongly believe that if there's going to be violence, it's going to be there's going to be a reason for the violence. And if you look at movies like Private Ryan, a very violent movie, but a movie that should have been made, and everyone who left the theater after watching Private Ryan, basically, especially people who've never experienced war, come out of there and saying, I never want to be in a war. And so it's responsible creativity. So everything here in Eternal Darkness is responsible. We're not doing things for violence sake. We're doing things to create a message and saying, hey, look at all this. Look at all the pain and sacrifice you have to go through if you're going to face these kind of odds. And
but I want to be
what's
Alex.
special about humanity is the ability for us to overcome really diverse and just very difficult situations. So I think how is it a Nintendo game, which is even more special, in my opinion, is the gameplay really comes through. The basic, the focus of making sure the game is fun, rules above all else, and then we've got this unique content that's coming to the player like they've never seen before, and some content where they may look for some mature, cerebral type thinking. I think people are going to find out that, wow, this is not your typical beeline movie plot. This is really something that we're trying to do and trying to make people think as well as enjoy. All the things that we modeled, all the weapons as an example, are historically accurate. We try to have authentic weapons. We try to do everything based on that time period as best we can. So if we're going
that is also very true, and we check a lot of it. All the weapons are like from the time, and I always found that really interesting because you get a lot of games, especially RPGs, where you only see like swords from like the West or like Europe. You get like the bastard sword, some sabers here and there, all those things. But here you actually get, you get like tool wars, ramdaos, scythe, all those things. It's kind of cool, and the chakrams too. Western European souls. Yeah, exactly. You get a lot of that on RPGs, and from time to time you get a katana, and that's about it. Even though there's more swords, of course, than just the katana, and that I always find that pretty cool. That, like, for example, finding that the chakrams were actually some very cool projectiles that existed and that can be very dangerous and all that. And also, like, for example, some of the items, like the penny on Peter, the lucky penny, is actually a real. It's a real penny. Like that same image, we look it up with Toast, and I think it was from England or Britain. I never really understand the difference, but but basically it makes sense because Peter, he has an English name, so he's an English journalist at France. It makes sense because of the First War, so he would have a penny from there.
We're going to do, at one point, we have a small cathedral at a certain time period before there was stained glass. So we make sure, since stained glass wasn't invented, there's no stained glass windows. And then the next time you revisit that place, you come back and stained glass was very, very popular in Europe, and then boom, everything's got stained glass. So there's
Oh,
things like
interesting.
that
I never thought about
pick
that.
up
That's
on.
so true. Yeah. Like the windows on Anthony doesn't have anything. But then on Paul and so on, you have all those things. It's such a tiny detail I never pay attention to.
On the sort of history aficionados, if they're really interested in that kind of thing, then certainly it'll be there for them to look into and explore and have fun with. Eternal Darkness is a very different kind of game, and it's not a typical game that comes out. It's a very large game, and the best way I can describe it is it's like 3 director's cuts in one. So depending on what the player does, many games will have different endings. Well, what we've done with Eternal Darkness is actually given you 3 different stories. So if you, depending on what your choice is at the very beginning of the game with the Pius Augustus at 28 BC or 26 BC, your story will change as you go through it. It'll scope out and then eventually come to a conclusion that that will be very different depending on what choice you make at the very beginning. And there's 3 different choices, and all of them play differently, feel differently. It all comes down to making the game seem different and making a different experience for the player. So those people who really love the game and want to play it more than once, if they play through the different alignments, they'll find that it is a different experience, and that they'll see creatures they haven't seen before, and they'll see parts of the story they haven't seen before, or they'll look at it and they'll understand that part of the story quite differently than what they thought it was. And it should offer a very unique experience on something that we haven't seen before. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely kind of a PR move. Um, like, I think at the time, there wasn't that many experiences with a lot of replayability or in terms of story, because that's the thing. Because I know Dennis, one of the things Dennis like cares a lot about is story differences. So even though the main story is the same, kinda, there is like different cutscenes and different, there's different dialogue, different actors and actresses. All those things make the feel of the story different. Okay, whereas at the time, at least, I feel like, yeah, there was a good amount of new game plus material, like especially on Resident Evils, the new game plus stuff, new cutscenes, whatever. But I feel like usually the new game plus was more of a gameplay thing than on a story thing. So, and yeah, here is also some gameplay stuff, but so I think it's not that big of a thing, but it was cool at the time. Like, I remember, for example, when we played the game for the first time with my cousins, so we always used to play some stuff together. We were 3, and each one choose a different color, and it was very cool to just see the other one playing the different color, how you would get the different ancients and like basically the voice of the gods. It's that's like the biggest difference, right? And so yeah, I give it at the time. I feel like today if you do that small differences, it's probably like lacking. But I think at the time it was fine, and it was it was great. Big influence on adventure. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Like it is pretty much just enemies changing. Yes. Like there is the other thing is the cutscenes. Like I say it's not like I do give it credit because for me a cutscene with different actors and different lines, at least from some of the characters, is not as easy as it sounds, and it has more story to it and script to it than people give it credit sometimes. Um, but yeah, it is of course no more than that, but that is already something. Again, for the epoch, because it's a different era too. It's not today. And yeah, that's about it for that. Um, there's like a million games right here. This is pretty long. Like I'm really glad this person uploaded this. Um, I think it was some Metroid. What is this song? That song is not Metro Prime. How do you start? The start was adventures too. The virus Metroid se reveal. That sounded like Italian, actually. What is this song? Yeah. It's like a remix of a Metroid song. Which song? The about Star Fox 64. I see. Like it's basically a song. I don't know where the original song comes from. It's probably from Super Metroid, but you hear at the beginning. What is the like Talon 4? That. Nya 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 na na. Ba-na-na-na. Nest Brinstar, I see. Yeah, so it comes from that because every song comes from like an older one. Absolutely. Like these guys just keep recycling stuff, and we just keep buying stuff. So where did I find this? I find this. Hang on. Was like the last here. So from this post on our GameCube, he has very few very subtle musical references to Fusion though. I don't know, Mungus t-shirt I use. Wait, what? I had a promo beat for DKC. Nice. One track I heard from Dead wasn't remiss. Yeah, so someone posted this. It's like so many. Look at all this. I don't know if all of these are like repeated or from different years. I have no idea actually, but all of them are sealed. It's like a fucking. There's probably so much money here. But yeah, if all of them are sealed, I would say they're probably like the same. Most likely. Stray remix from SM's Brinstar maybe? Yeah, when I heard Dread soundtrack, I recall one of the first songs sounded like a remix. Like, theme of Super Metroid, there you go. Is this from the soundtrack or not? Because that's straight Super Metroid, like, of course. Okay. Yeah, that's probably what you were thinking about. Like, I remember this. Is using the opening? Okay. Like, this is... I don't remember if this is in Prime. It's definitely in Prime 2. I remember it in Prime 2, but I don't remember if it was in Prime 1. And like, Just for Gemini. Just for Gemini is so good. That soundtrack's so great. It is in Prime 2, Samus Returns, and Fusion. You know what I want? Like, we have the Undertale Orchestra. I want this Jets for Gemini Orchestra. With every fucking song from the game. Oh my god. It's so good. There is actually a couple of orchestral versions that some people did. Title theme. Software. What's the good one? Oh, there's segment. This one's new. I mean, new for me. I had no idea there was a segment. Kind of long. Never play it? Don't do it. Don't play it. Jesus Franking Christ. Exactly. Yeah, don't play it. It's great, but it's rough. Like, maybe the... I feel like the 360 version might not be that rough. Maybe. And I don't know, maybe there is like a mouse and keyboard mod or something. That could be good. It's like with Perfect Dark, you know, like if you play Perfect Dark on an N64 today, it's really rough. Like super rough. But it's such a good game. And I feel like Jets for Gemini is also a very good game that didn't age that well, let's say. Yeah, it was great when I was small, of course. It was such an experience. But then I played like a couple years ago, actually, for the Onda Cuadrada episode. And it was like, how am I missing so many frames? Like, how this game runs, you know, slower like than Lost Vikings 2. Like, what the fuck? But it's inconsistent. At least Lost Vikings 2 is a consistent 20 frames, but this shit is like, it goes to 10 sometimes. And I can't aim anything. Just for Gemini has two controls schemes. There's like the beginner or normal and the expert one. The expert one, it's much better in terms of gameplay, but it's much harder too, because you don't have a lot of auto aim, which is necessary on the N64 for a casual player at least. Of course, you're Caneras and you speedrun the game. Yeah, expert is the way to go, but not a lot of people are Caneras. Big shoutouts to Caneras, by the way. He's a great speedrunner. And not just that, Caneras actually has a great video about Just for Gemini. A retrospective video that I really recommend. I can't find it though. Is he his main channel or not? Tutorial. This one. Yeah, this video is really good. I really recommend it. If you like Just for Gemini, great video made by the world record speedrunner of this game. So he definitely knows what he's talking about. But it's not like a speedrun center. It's like, you know, it's just center in the game. It's really good. Trick 1 was definitely out, but then what we're talking about here? I was used to Turk 2. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean the thing is Just for Gemini is a 3D game. I mean it's a third person. So I mean you can kind of have similar to controllers to a first person, but it's not really a shooter. I mean it is kind of a shooter a little bit, but it's also a platformer. Well, I guess Turk also. Yeah, maybe this game with Turk controllers could work very well. Who knows? All right. So yeah, I don't know about this. I also couldn't find the 2002 version on eBay on stuff like that. Seems pretty hard to find. Talking about hard to find stuff, let me put like another one. I haven't here segment, so let's segment. Yeah, this is from Evelyn Lark, the arrangement. Has some great instruments. It's one of those games we played in 4-player split screen. Exactly. You know why I played split screen on the N64? StarCraft 64. Holy shit, you don't want to do that. Good memories. We had better eyes, yeah. We were younger. We accepted things. What am I looking for? I forgot what I wanted. Oh yeah, let's see, Korean. Eternal Darkness. Ultra rare seal Nintendo. Yeah. That's great. Of course. miss N64 so much. You can still have you can still go back and play those games. The feeling of that won't quite come back, but nostalgia is strong. I still enjoy when I played Perfect Dark again. I actually still enjoy it. It was rough, I suffered, but I still enjoy it. Plus, there are better versions today, so you can even have a better experience than back then. It has been my only experience of StarCraft. Yeah, I started with 64. So that was my... It was for a while my only experience with StarCraft, but then I played PC eventually, and I was like, holy shit. I still kind of want an N64 StarCraft. And play a little bit. Just to feel bad. And like, remember that? Actually, there was like a little bit of time where I was getting used to the PC version, where I was like, you know, the N64 version is better because you can have more units on a group. It's so much better. Like 6 more units on a group? That's broken. And then I learned about hotkeys. This is not so bad. It's a little bit rough. But if it works. This is on Chilean pesos, by the way. In case you don't understand what's going on here. Box, it's only the box. It's only the box. Sounds good. I don't trust the photo though. That seems like a completely stock photo. Might buy an N64 when I get the chance. Yeah, if you can find one cheap, absolutely. I did that for hybrid though. There's kind of like a, it's not exactly a flea market because it's established, but it's kind of flea market near where I live that has a lot of stuff, like a lot of retro stuff. The StarCraft League is sick. The finals, that's another thing you have to go and see. ASL 12 finals. Another video. It doesn't matter if you don't understand anything. The Stosis are casting. That means you don't need to understand anything. There you go. Go watch it. It's the final. It's great. Best match of the tournament. It was so good. These two guys are so good. And we got... No. Where's the scout? I need to see the scout. It was game 2, I believe. I have to see it. I have to see it again. It's very important. I'm almost sure it was game 2. No, wait, he's down. Might not... No, it's not game 2. Was it game 1? Game 3? Which one was? I don't remember. I think it was game 3. Yes, it's game 3. You see this fucking shit right here? Hang on.
Did end up tanking a decent amount of damage back there.
These 2 units right here, these are scouts. Okay, you understand. Yeah, Alexa, you understand this. There was scouts on the fucking final. This is the equivalent of, like, imagine if you're familiar with Melee, maybe. Okay, so imagine Melee, something like Armada versus Mango, and Armada decides to go like Kirby on at least one match of the finals, the grand finals, by the way. And he wins that game. This is what's going on here. This fucking game will never happen again. This particular match. It was such a specific, like, this is the worst unit in the game, pretty much. It could happen, yeah, sure, but against Mango, by the way, he's not sandbagging. He's doing it in a situation where Kirby is optimal. This is the only situation in this fucking timeline universe where scouts were optimal, actually. They were the perfect response to this ultra specific thing Roach was doing, which Roach is the Terran. I was losing my mind. I can't believe it, because it actually was the best decision to make then, and it's such a garbage unit.
You know, we have Goliath now on the run here.
Tasteless, you say they tank damage. They have 10 kills right now, okay?
These
scouts are
wild.
the MVPs of this game.
Look at how he's losing time, wasting time on the carriers, and this shit are making damage. It's so stupid.
I can't believe what I'm looking at. Mini takes his third base. He's held 2 pushes here on the backs of those ripped scouts.
It's so stupid. It's great. You have to watch it. It's so good. Game knowledge, exactly. So yeah, really, the Kirby example is not really a good complete example, because it's not the same thing. Like, in that thing would be a better example if Mini would have done an insane build instead of just using two specific, like, to counter two specific units to counter something. But it's similar. Like, it has some similarities. It is a crazy strategy anyways, like. Yeah, like, the English casting is great. Like, Artosis and Tasteless, they pretty much invented esport casting. They are the first Western casters. So after the Koreans, there is Artosis and Tasteless. So if you have watched any casting ever, that comes from these two guys. They invented the shit. So they're the best. Basically. Yeah, no, the guys are make it super easy, and like think about StarCraft is a sport, like an esport, but like it's also a sport. Like StarCraft, it's on the TV on Korea. So basically, this is made for people that don't know anything about it. Just like when you have football or soccer or whatever you call it on the TV, and a lot of people watch it without knowing anything about it. And sometimes without even liking it, but they watch it because someone else in the family like it. You know, that's happens all the time, and they just enjoy it. It's not like they actively do it, but it's on the TV, whatever. That happens on Korea. It's on the fucking TV. So you get people that, you know, your fucking grandfather that doesn't know anything about video games is watching StarCraft on the TV. So it's made for normal people, for people that don't know anything about it. And they want them to win because it's, you know, the young guys just doing their best. So they're rooting for them, even though they barely understand what's going on. It's great. Alright, I'll play a tiny bit of Splunky, maybe. Warcraft 3 is your jam? Nice. I never played Warcraft. Like 30? Yeah, exactly. Like, these two guys, like, what is the, let's see, Mini StarCraft. Hang on. What's his age? This one, like, this guy is more young. He's 27. He's one of the younger ones. And then Roach is also kind of younger. Roach 29, so Roach has my age. And then Queen, which was the other runner. Queen player. 0 x0. He has 31. Yeah. And then you have people like Flash, which is like, it's like the Armada of StarCraft. He has 29. I thought Flash was older. Really? I thought he was like 30 something. Okay, never mind. Who was older then? He has my age. I could be Flash. I just need like 20 years of StarCraft. Who was like, maybe Leda? Or Leda could probably 31, yeah. Artosis has more. 38. There you go. He still rocks though. S-Craft. Moon once walked past me. Yo, nice. Is Hawk 86? You mean Hawks from... That's actually funny because Hawks on Melee, a lot of people joke about Hawks being very old and the oldest of the community. I don't think he's that old, but kind of a running joke on Melee.